Hello, you beautiful people. This is day 2, video 2. Hopefully we do it every day. I was thinking I probably should take off Saturdays and Sundays. Let me know what you think. I'm here to serve you. I'm Michael Botts. We're diving into my book, my international bestseller, Escape Average, Go for the Big Breakthrough, What's Stopping You. Yesterday we talked about on the back of the book. It's brilliant. You need to see that video. What I wrote on the back of that is so good. And then I was reading the introduction today and I was like, damn, that's good too. So we're going to dive into the introduction. I told you we'd go into chapter 1, but I forgot about the introduction. So we're going to do the introduction today. I want to start with a gratitude. And I try to start everything I do with gratitude. I feel like that builds the foundation for the savoring of the meeting, right? So I am grateful. I got myself these flowers. And look how pretty they are. Man. I get them at a store named Lidl, and it costs like $10 for, I think it's 12 flowers. And look how they turn out. Now, I take really good care of them. I cut them and everything, but I am grateful for the beautifulness of these flowers. And then I end every grateful with, I am enough. And if you want to write a grateful in the comments, I'd love for you to do that. The way it should sound is, I'm grateful for, and then the more specific the grateful is, the more it's powerful in here. And then say, I am enough. Have a little agenda here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do breathe. We're going to just take a few breaths to catch on, to get in the vibe of what we're going to do today. I'm super excited to dive into this with you. But let's just take a couple breaths, all right? We'll take 3 breaths. Man, I got a stain right there. There was something there and I got it with water. So it's funny because, I talked about that Am I Enough yesterday in the back of the book. Am I Enough worked me over today about this video. It's like you need to, shave, you need to do this. Now Am I Enough's like, look at you, look like a slob. You probably do not care what I look like. You care about coming here and getting something out of this. Your question is, what's in it for me? That's the only question anyone ever has. And, if you're a business owner, you need to answer that question for your clients, your customers. What's in it for me? If you figure that out, you will always have clients and customers. Okay? So let's take 3 breaths. The way it'll sound is like this. You go. So it's an inhale with a break, and then an inhale, and then you let it out. And really make a noise when you let it out, because that's going to help release all this. So. One more. Okay. How did that feel? Leave a comment. Let me know how that felt. All right, we're going to dive into the book now. I want to read this first. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. It's not. I don't know if that would be conducive to the video, but this first paragraph is so good. I have to read it to you. Remember when you could dream big and spectacular? You could give every detail and talk about it for hours with an excitement that kept your heart pounding out of your chest, late into the night, just from thinking about it. Remember how limitless your thinking was? Remember the smile in your soul as you lay there, staring through the ceiling of your bedroom into the life you were going to live? When I wrote that, I was being a genius. I know, I'm not a genius about everything, but when I wrote that shit is good, man. Do you remember that feeling? Do you remember that feeling of having a dream, being in love, the dream of singing on the stage, or the dream of writing the book, or the dream of having the greatest partner, or the dream of living in the house, whatever yours is, the dream of being the executive, the lawyer, the whatever, the doctor. Remember that? Remember that? It was limitless thinking. Oh. Let that set in, man. Do you remember that? Can you get there? I can get there. I remember dreaming these big, beautiful, bodacious dreams, limitless thinking. Oh, man. Well, that's still inside of us. That is still inside of us. And then this next paragraph is pretty powerful. And now the thing that we most get excited about is the weekend. Man, I'm looking forward to Saturday. The football games are going to be on. It's going to be amazing. Or the kids' soccer game. I can't wait to go see the kids. Now, I got 4 kids, and I did love going to their basketball games. I mean, it was a highlight of my life. Or the 2-week vacation that you spend at your in-laws because you can't afford to go on a real vacation. That's brutal, right? That's brutal. And then the next couple paragraphs talk about this situation where my water got turned off at my house. And it was just, nobody knew except me, but it was embarrassing. And it was just like the pivotal moment of what I felt like my life was. You know, I wrote, I was everything I never wanted to be. You know, I feel like I was pretty much half-assing it as a dad. I mean, the business was thriving, but I was managing my money so poorly. There was just so many things that I was this big, bodacious, successful, but then my water gets turned off at my house. How dare that happen? How dare I let that happen? I was so resistant and I was so mad at myself that I just looked in the mirror and screamed. It was just this scream of utter disgust about how I had allowed myself to get to this place. This is just the introduction. This is just the introduction, right? So then, this is what's happened. This is what I wrote after that. It says, then at the end of the deafening scream of my soul, the fog lifted. The eyes of my soul became clear, and an awareness rose up from deep inside me. This new but familiar awareness lit a fire in me that had not burned for 16 years. That's just the introduction. And I thought that was just a really powerful paragraph. That was this moment, this pivotal moment where the am I enough had drowned me. It was drowning me. It was holding me under the water, and it was drowning me. This next paragraph's really powerful. See if you can relate to this. Listen. Whatever you're doing, turn it away. If you're doing other things on your phone, stop right now. Just listen to these few words. Listen to this. Our entire lives, we're told that failure is bad. Failure is for failures, they say. So I was determined to fight failure from a young age. I saw myself as a champion, a thoroughbred that never failed. My view of failure was tainted and skewed. What do you think failure means? Do you think failure is for failures? How is it landing with you when I'm reading you here? In that awakening moment, in that tiny half bathroom, failure lost its power over me. I stopped fighting failure. I evolved my relationship with failure. Ooh, a relationship with failure? I'm a success, Michael. I am driven. I am focused. I will not let failure beat my ass. Well, in this brilliant book, we have an evolution and realize that failure is not our enemy. I think let's look at Chapter 2 is Failure is Your Friend. That's the title of Chapter 2. So when we get there, we're going to dive into this some more. I let Am I Enough and failure put my face down in the mud of disappointment and its boot on the back of my neck, and it was kicking my ass. Lucy Ford, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you thriving, Lucy Ford. It's so nice to see you on here. The skewed thinking I had adopted was that failing meant I was a failure. So when failure showed up in my life, I resisted it. I fought with it like Jacob did with the angel. You ever heard that story of Jacob wrestling with the angel until the angel would give him his blessing? That's how I was doing with failure. I was like, no, you will not defeat me. Yet this fight was always won by failure, and I ended up with my face in the mud of disappointment, with failure's boot on the back of my neck every single time. Can anybody relate to that? If you can relate to that, give me a thumbs up. Because I feel like that's a really powerful statement. And a lot of people are right there. And as we dive into this deeper and deeper, you're going to realize that failure is your friend. When I broke the code on failure and success, I was finally able to free myself from the chains of disappointment. Woo! I was able to step out of the shackles of frustration. I became free of the prison that failure had locked me in for over 16 years. I had locked myself in there because of my relationship with failure. Failure had locked me in there. I had the key the whole time. I thought there was something wrong with me. Do you think there's something wrong with you? Do you look in the mirror and ask, what's wrong with me? Why can't I shake this? That's right here in the book. I wrote that. I didn't just write that, but I just read what I wrote. And it's so powerful and brilliant. The next part of it says, it's not your fault. We're not going to get into that tonight. We'll talk about that tomorrow. It's not your fault. We'll dive into that. Listen, you are not a failure, and there's nothing wrong with you. Stay with me here. Every day we're going to have a growth and an evolution, and you're going to evolve and evolve and evolve. If you want to have the book in your hand, you can get it on Amazon. I'll put a link in the comments. And I have a final thought of the day. See if you can catch this. If you're still listening, congratulations. I'm happy you're here. But here we go. I'm going to read this a couple times so you get it in your brain. This now is the history of your actions, words, and thoughts. This now is the history of your thoughts, your words, and your actions. That is rockin' good news, because if this now sucks, you could change it by your thoughts, your words, and your actions. And if this now is awesome, congratulations, because you created it by your thoughts, your words, and your actions. I'll read it one more time. This now is the history of your thoughts, your words, and your actions. I love you. I care about you. Stay alive.